Welcome to Cool East Friendship Unit. My name is Chris. I'm here with Brian,
What's going on?
Jake,
Hey guys.
and Jeremy.
Hey, what's up?
Jeremy,
Yo.
how is your Atari VCS pre-order going?
I'm still excited. It says that it's gonna ship in the next couple weeks, so pretty hype.
Okay, good. You excited for that wood finish?
Yeah, I'm excited for the freshly shellacked, real genuine wood exterior.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. What if I told you that you could play that in an Atari hotel in one of 8 major U.S. cities?
Are you trying to tell me that if I go to one of 8 major U.S. cities, I can stay in an Atari 2600?
No, well, essentially, yeah.
Ooh.
With AR and VR experiences. This sounds like okay. We're done. We're breaking it. We're gonna talk.
Continuity.
Atari wants to build a video game themed hotel. We're gonna talk about it. We are doing a giveaway for Copy Risk Rain 2. All you gotta do is be subscribed. So if you love us, sub us and throw us a like. Let us know if you would stay in an Atari. I can't even say it without laughing. In an Atari hotel. So Atari is looking to build up to 8 hotels, gaming hotels, with 3 purposes in mind. They're all video game themed, but they're gonna have AR experiences, VR experiences, and eSports, I guess, setups, event hosting, etc. What's going on, guys, with Atari?
That's a good question.
That's the $1 million question right there.
Yeah,
Milking that property, they're going to like brand recognition.
but
Come
that's
on, we
like a
gotta get that
hotel.
brand.
That's not
Here's-
you have to
so-
spend money on
Right.
that.
Problem
Yeah.
number 1: video games is something you do at home. Like the vast majority of people, it's like you're playing games on your computer at home. Like, why would you spend money to go to a hotel to play video games? Like, I kind of get like it's set up for like an esports tournament, because like conference spaces and whatnot, like hotels get a lot of business off of that, and if it's set up to cater to esports tournaments, then great. But the rest of it, I don't know.
My
like
thing,
AR, it's like you're gonna be able to use your phone in the hotel, and it's gonna look like there's fucking Pokemon everywhere or whatever.
like you go to hotels when you're en route, like when you're in travel, most of the time. Usually you go to a hotel when you're in transit.
Or
And
like
when you're in
going
transit,
somewhere.
you don't. Yeah, exactly. Like you don't want to. I feel like
You don't go
wanna,
for the hotel.
Yeah, well, sometimes you do, but for the most part, like if I'm going to Denver, I'm not going to play
Dude, you're not
VR.
Come on.
I have a theory. I think that Atari, as we documented in an earlier video, has like been purchased by some other company which doesn't even have a background in video game development. I think that the new owner of Atari must be like a trust fund inherited wealth, like total fucking boob. Like, I think that they're just an incompetent weenie who got this as like a gift for themselves, and like now they're just dicking around. Either that, or this is like an elaborate money laundering scheme, because this idea is so stupid that like there has to be something else behind it, because no rational business person would make this decision.
No,
It's
you
also not going to
slap-
happen.
you
Let's just
slap
acknowledge
the-
that. This
you
is
slap
never
the
going to
brand
happen.
on it. You
I
slap the
think this is
brand
owned
on
by
it and see
Don
what
Jr.
works.
Like, this is literally some like harebrained like Don Jr. type shit. Or like that was kind of the comparison I had in my brain. Like, would it just be branded? Like, are these hotels that are otherwise being constructed and they're going to have some sort of Atari licensing fee? I don't know. It's just fucking bizarre.
Well, who would ever license that? Like, because they're not even closely related.
I don't know.
And maybe they're trying to profit off of like expos and conventions and that kind of stuff, but I don't know. Like, that seems very, very niche.
Yeah, that's the
to
thing. Like,
try and get any money off of that.
you can fill a hotel for the one event, or maybe 3 events in that city per year,
Right.
if they choose that as the venue. The esports thing I don't fully understand, I guess, because there are I'm not following it, I guess. I see where it is in concept, but in reality, I don't see why you
Well-
would need that, because if you're like, let's say you're a Smash player, you're gonna have your Switch and your controller and you're just gonna play it. Let's say you're a StarCraft player, you're already gonna bring all the shit that you need. Like,
Yeah, but like you could cater it more to it. Like you could have it set up with like a mixing board and like a bunch of H's, so like you could all plug your computers in. You could have someone hosting it, and it like you could cater if it was set up ahead of time. You could cater better to just sort of an audience.
But even if the goal was to have a hotel or a venue space that catered to esports, like Atari isn't an active brand. Like no one is going to a fucking Atari convention.
That's the why do they do shit like, because what else do they have? They have the value of the name, and that's it. Like Atari they don't own any like major IPs. They haven't really done anything successful since 1982. Like it's if you own that, what you paid for is the brand recognition in the name, and you're just gonna plaster that shit all over everything because you paid good money for that, and you figure it's worth something because they said it's worth something. Even though nowadays, like Atari, they're just not in the game anymore.
But this is so incongruous. I think it would actually dissuade people. Like I would never in my fucking life.
No, if you get a real slick sales pitch, if you get a real slick sales pitch and a bunch of like 60-plussers in a room, you can sell them on this.
That's true. You get the
You can
boomers.
sell them on this 100%.
You
They're
get
like,
the
oh, video
boomers.
games? Video games?
Video games?
Vidya? Maybe.
So
You
they
mean like Mrs. Pac-Man?
the article specifically says they're trying to profit off of the nostalgia and the retro meets modern feel, which I don't know how any of that relates to anything you'd want to do in the gaming area / like residential hotel business. I don't know.
And like, if you want to do the Atari nostalgia game, you go on eBay, you buy an Atari 2600 and like 50 games for $150. You know, they're everywhere. Their problem was they just put out there was just too much shit out there. They just put it out like, it's still around. You don't need to, it's not, Nintendo's kind of the same thing, but like, you know, Atari was the video game market for a good period in time. And if you want to cash in on the nostalgia, why not just pay the same amount of money that you're going to spend going to this hotel? You could buy an Atari and some games for it and just sit at home and do it.
Okay, so there's like conflicting, it's like, because I'm trying to figure out who's drawn to this. Is it people our age who's drawn to it?
No.
Like 20-somethings? Well,
It's people
no, but
who
the
run in the
theoretical,
70s.
like Jake was saying, like it's targeting nostalgia. Is it boomers? Is it dad's planning a trip and he picks the Atari thing because he thinks it'll be fun for the kids? Like,
Those
I'm
kids would be
serious.
so mad.
No, like that's what I'm saying. Like,
It's like Gen Xers. It's people who were young in the late 70s and early 80s. So, like, you know, and from that standpoint, it makes sense. They have disposable income. They might have families, like, and they recognize this brand. But that's the only group of people that it means anything to. And if you're thinking that, even that group of people, like people that grew up with the beginning of video games, if you think they're gonna want to spend hotel money, even if it's like Holiday Inn prices, to go to this place and it's like, oh, you can play video games, like you're deluding yourself.
Yeah.
I can see how you would sell it, but fundamentally, if you look at it, it just does not make sense.
This is like one of the most delusional things I've heard of recently. This is insane.
Yeah, and strangely, like if they're trying to profit off nostalgia, why are they basing this all off of AR and VR experiences, which are not nostalgia at all?
That's the other buzzword that draws the investors in. You know, like
You can play an Atari 2600 in VR.
Well, and to
You're
Brian's
in a
point,
house
yeah.
in VR. And you're playing
what-
Atari.
What is Atari AR? There's just like, it's Pokemon Go, but it's just like, what the fuck, like Monkey Ball or some shit? Like,
No, it's
Oh,
ET.
that would be awful.
It's just ET.
So I
That would actually be kind of funny.
I could almost get this if they were trying to profit off the esports. Like if you had a venue and you were hoping to bring people in for like a medium-sized event. But even then, like I don't see there being enough business. Like there is one Dota International tournament. There's one League of Legends global tournament. There's a bunch of Overwatch tournaments, but I don't see there being enough traffic in these specific US cities to make a hotel profitable.
Well, there's enough, like, I think this picture is very misleading. Like, if it was a bunch of, like, if it was, like, 8 motel-sized things, maybe that would make a little bit more sense, because, like, there are enough events. At least, like, I'm just thinking Philadelphia, where I currently live, the events that go on there for, like, esports, there are enough events, but granted, we also have the biggest stadium this half of the country for esports, so...
And you can already go to a convention center. Like,
that's
you don't...
the thing, yeah.
This is not it's something that is needed.
Yes,
it
they
has no
have to
practical
be
purpose.
catering to smaller tournaments. Like, Chris, you've done a couple, and those are done in, like, colleges and, like, places that have medium-sized venues. Like, if you're going big, like, enough people to fund a hotel off of, you're talking, like, convention center size. And in that case, like, they're not going to play their games in the hotel. They're going to the convention center.
In esports...
And that's already expensive. You're going to pay to go to a fucking Atari hotel? You already spent your money on the convention and all that shit.
I mean, you have to stay at a hotel somewhere.
Yeah, but presumably this would be more expensive.
Esports are just too vast and varied in what you would expect. Like, each game... the difference of what someone needs for a Tekken tournament versus a Smash tournament versus a CSGO tournament, all very, very, very different requirements, from, like, just crew to, like, everything.
I mean,
like,
I think you could do a video game hotel. I just don't think that this seems like the right way to go. Like, if you had a hotel, you remember how, like, they used to have, like, those N64 controllers and it was plugged into the TV somehow and you could play, like, you could rent a video game for, like, an hour and play it in a hotel
yeah,
for, like, $5. Like, if you were like, okay, so it's free, we have all, like, the major esports and you can play them with other people in the hotel, and then, like, every Friday we have a tournament or something like that. But you don't have to do it if you don't want to, and the price is the same. Then it works.
yeah, that's an
Or
idea.
if it's like $10, if it's a slightly higher price to stay at the video game hotel versus just like a regular hotel, I can see that working. But the way I see this going, like, it's kind of what Jay was talking about. Like, they're thinking that the draw of this, the reason that people will pay more money to go to the Atari hotel, is because of the Atari brand, and it's just not there. If it was kind of a side thing, but it's also a hotel you can just sort of stay at and it's reasonably cheap, like, I can see that working.
The other thing is, like, okay, so there is a branded video game destination that exists that is, commercially successful as far as I know. It's the Pokemon Center, and there's fucking one in the United States. And that's the biggest video game brand on the face of the earth.
Yeah. Not Atari.
So, like,
not
exactly Atari.
The thing with it being Atari is you're going to inherently restrict yourself to, and the thing with Pokemon is, like, if you don't like Pokemon, you're not going to want to go there. But if it's like, we have all of the stuff, and Atari,
we have the Space Invaders and the Asteroids.
I could I could not give less of a shit about Atari. Like, I would not pay $1 extra for this. And I think a lot, like, who gives a fuck about Atari?
I wouldn't even want to go. I would,
I assume,
just go somewhere else.
Yeah, it would either be too expensive.
Well,
It'd be like
bar though.
Then just go to a regular hotel
and bring your Atari. Go to a regular motel and bring your Atari with you, because that's the vibe.
There you go. You go to the Motel 6, $80 a night. Bring your own Atari.
They give you an actual key on a ring.
Oh, don't you want the AR key though?
They give you both, man. You get the VR key and the regular reality key to unlock that.
I want an
don't give a
amiibo key.
fuck. Get out of here.
Yeah, I think we're pretty settled on this, right?
I would like to
Foolish.
reiterate, this is never going to happen. Just like
yeah,
their stupid
just like the
console.
VCS. Yeah. Well, yeah.
They're milking that IP because it's all they got.
This is
Well,
money
and
laundering somehow.
the person they interviewed for this story was Napoleon Smith III, which is such
Fake name.
What a
such
name.
fun baby name.
Do you guys want to? Do you have any final memes for Atari before we, give them a rest for another 6 to 8 months?
So they were like, back in the day, they were known for being like into drugs. Like in the heyday of Atari, it was like everybody that worked there was on drugs. So like maybe this is an extension of that.
That would
Maybe
actually be
they're-
cool.
Maybe they're still on drugs after like 40 years, and it's just like, hey man, we're here. Come stay at our hotel.
Honestly, if they're just hitting the slopes, that would explain this very quickly.
All right. Well, what should our Atari loving fans be doing? How should they get their reservations? What should happen, Brian?
Well, if frankly you're like me, still amazed that the people at Atari have the money to keep hitting the slopes, go ahead and hammer your thoughts on that down in the word box there. And like Chris said at the beginning of the video, we are giving away a copy of Risk of Rain 2, which we talk about very infrequently. It's a decent game. Seriously, if you haven't played it, it's pretty fucking good. So if you want a copy for yourself, go ahead and click that subscribe button, because if you watch this far, you probably liked it. And we do have a veritable shit ton more content right here on the Cohesive Friendship Unit channel, just like this. So go ahead and click that sub and smoke if you got them, guys. That's all for me tonight, Chris.
All right. Thank you, Brian. Catch you guys next time.